Snow fell in thick, soft sheets outside the old rental cabin as 5 friends reunited for their annual Secret Santa night. They'd been doing this since high school. Every year, the same rules. Everyone buys one gift, everyone brings food, everyone stays off their phones for the night. As tradition, they dumped their phones together in a little woven basket by the door. No distractions, just fun. The cabin filled with warmth, laughter, and that comforting holiday chaos. Drinks pouring, music playing low, old stories resurfacing. It was supposed to be a perfect night, until they noticed the extra gift. A small box, red wrapping, gold ribbon, no tag, no name. No one claimed it. Probably someone forgot they wrapped it, Chloe joked. Let's just open it together, Ryan said, already leaning forward. They each placed a hand on the lid and lifted. A burst of freezing air shot upward like a sigh escaping a tomb. Not a breeze, not wind, just a sharp woof of cold. The lights flickered, the fireplace hissed. Everyone exhaled in surprise. Inside the box was nothing. Completely empty. A silence settled over the room, the kind that makes you feel like you've done something wrong. They laughed it off and moved on, assuming it was some prank. But the night was far from over. An hour later, it started with Ben. He'd had a few drinks, okay, a lot, and was normally loud, rowdy, fun. But tonight, his mood shifted hard. The laughter stopped. His eyes glazed, unfocused. He muttered to himself, pacing in crooked circles. He pushed Mason for no reason, shoved Jess out of the way, yelled at Ryan for breathing too loud. "Dude, chill!" Ryan tried. Ben grabbed him by the shirt, shaking violently. They wrestled him off and dragged him to the spare bedroom, shoving him inside and locking the door. "Sleep it off," Chloe whispered through the door, voice shaking. For an hour, it was quiet. Then the screaming started. Shrill, guttural, inhuman screaming. It tore through the cabin walls. They burst into the room. Ben leapt off the bed like an animal, slamming Mason into the wall so hard it cracked the plaster. During the struggle, Ben's nails scraped across Chloe's arm, leaving 4 long scratches. "Ben, stop!" Jess screamed. It didn't even sound like English coming out of him anymore. They shoved him back into the room, slammed the door, and locked it again. Ben's fists pounded against the wood. He screamed until his throat shredded. Then, silence. 30 minutes passed. Then the next scream came, short and sharp, followed by a horrible, wet, tearing sound. Then a thud. They opened the door cautiously. Ben was dead. But it wasn't an overdose. His body was ripped open from the inside out, like something had clawed its way out of him. Blood soaked the mattress. Cold air poured from the wounds. The room smelled like iron and winter. Ryan gagged and stumbled back. Chloe stared blankly, her scratches stinging. "We need our phones," Mason gasped. "They're by the door." They ran to the basket, empty. The phones were gone. And so was Jess. The search. They called out for her, voices shaking. They found her in the pantry, the darkest room in the cabin. She stood with her back to them, shoulders heaving slowly. When she turned, her mouth glistened with something dark. Her throat bulged, then slid down, like something swallowed. Then another bulge. They realized what it was. She was swallowing the phones, all of them. "Mason, grab her!" Ryan shouted. They tackled her to the ground, but she fought with impossible strength, hands clawing at the floor as she swallowed the last phone whole. She looked at them and smiled. Her lips cracked from the stretch. Then she choked. Her body jolted violently, throat spasming. She gagged, trying to pull something out, but instead, she vomited a jet of burning liquid straight into Mason and Ryan's faces. It sizzled on the skin, cold enough to burn, and splashed across their shirts. Only Chloe dodged it. Jess collapsed onto the floor, gasping. Then she stopped moving entirely. Dead. "Jess! Jess!" Mason cried, shaking her. Her body was cold, too cold. Then they heard it. A sound coming from deeper in the pantry. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, 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 like tiny claws on hardwood. Mason's breathing hitched. Ryan stumbled backward. Something small, fast, and pale darted between the shelves. "What is that?" Ryan yelled. The creature leapt out, shrieking. It was the size of a large squirrel, but twisted, pale, hairless, its skin stretched thin. Its mouth was too wide, its limbs bent wrong. It had to be what came out of Ben. They grabbed anything they could, broom handles, bottles, a metal pan, swinging, yelling, fighting for their lives. Halfway through the chaos, Mason froze, eyes unfocused. He grabbed Ryan and slammed him into the wall. "What the hell? Get off me!" Ryan shouted. But Mason wasn't listening. He snarled, low and animal-like, as if Jess's vomit was doing something to him. Chloe backed away as Ryan and Mason fought brutally, smashing against shelves, knocking things over. She had to choose. Help them? Help kill the creature? She swung a metal tool down onto the creature's skull. It cracked. The thing shrieked and convulsed, twitching violently before finally going still. She turned just in time to see Mason straddling Ryan, fists raised, punching over and over. Ryan went limp under him. Chloe screamed. Mason looked up at her, eyes dark and wrong. She ran. He followed. The last stand. Chloe barricaded herself inside the storage room, the one with Jess's body. No windows, no exit, only a dead friend and her own panic. Mason pounded the door, screaming in pain, rage, something inhuman. Tick, tick, tick. Another tapping, another creature, a second one. Chloe gagged. She needed her phone. Jess had swallowed it. Her stomach twisted as she looked at Jess's corpse. The pounding grew violent. "Chloe!" Mason hissed. "Let me in!" She grabbed a metal tool from the shelf. Her hands shook uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. She carved into Jess's stomach. Warm blood splashed onto her arms. She dug deeper, gagging, crying, until her hand found something hard. Her phone. She pulled it free, covered in blood. She dialed 911 with trembling fingers. "Please," she sobbed. "Help me, help. There's something." Behind her, the tapping stopped. The pounding stopped. Silence. Then, a crunch, heavy, wet, final. Then the tapping started again. Closer. Tick. 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 Chloe crouched in the corner, covered in blood, hyperventilating. The door burst open. The aftermath. When the police arrived, they found Chloe sitting beside Jess's carved open body. Mason dead in the hall, chest torn open. Ryan dead near the pantry. Ben exploded on the guest bed. Jess gutted. No creature, no second creature, no killer, no phones, only Chloe covered in blood. Hysterical, laughing and crying at the same time. She tried to explain. They didn't believe her. She kept whispering. It came out of him. And another one. And Mason wasn't Mason anymore. And Jess swallowed the phones. I had to get my phone. I had to. They carried her out on a stretcher, still shaking and repeating, "I didn't open the gift. I didn't open the gift. I didn't open the gift." But as the officers sealed the cabin, one of them noticed something sitting in the corner of the living room. A small red box with a gold ribbon. No tag. The lid was cracked open, and a faint woof of cold air drifted out. Northridge Mall was drowning in holiday noise. Kids shrieked with excitement, parents shuffled through lines, and cheerful music bounced off every tiled surface. The main attraction sat in the center court, a massive, glittering Santa display with a plush red throne, fake elves frozen mid-laugh, and a towering Christmas tree wrapped in lights. And Santa. Santa himself was a mannequin. Tall, broad, perfectly still. A little too human. His eyes never blinked. His plastic hands were molded into a gentle, open pose. His smile was carved just a bit too wide, as if stretching the limits of the faux skin. People joked about how creepy he looked, how stiff, how real. "Why doesn't he blink?" a cashier asked. "He was facing the other direction earlier," another employee muttered. But every parent snapped their photos, every kid sat on his unmoving lap, and every passerby shrugged off the shiver that ran down their spine. Pinned to his coat was a small name tag, "Seasonal Santa, do not touch," as if touching him would matter. At 10:20 p.m., the mall lights dimmed. Stores closed their gates, workers cleaned up their stations, and the holiday jingles finally faded into static silence. The mall emptied completely, doors locked, alarms set, floors polished until they reflected strings of lights. 13 security guards gathered in the surveillance room to start their overnight shift. Extra staffing for the holiday season. Coffee in hand, radios checked, routes assigned. Jake, the youngest of them, sat in front of the monitors. "I swear this Santa thing moves," he muttered. "Dude," Marta rolled her eyes, "it's a mall prop, not a demon." "Then why does he keep turning?" "He doesn't." Jake stared at the monitor. Santa sat on his throne, still and perfect as ever. The camera glitched for a moment, static across the screen. And when it cleared, Santa's head looked angled just a little more toward the camera. Jake leaned forward. "See? See? Holiday stress," someone laughed. "Relax." But Jake didn't relax. He kept seeing tiny shifts in the still frame. A hand slightly moved, a foot angled differently, a tilt of the head, and he wasn't wrong. Officer Ray walked the first route of the night, down the long, open corridor toward the Santa set. He shined his flashlight over the empty food court, the silent kiosks, the rows of chairs. "Everything clear," he said into his radio. He rounded the corner to the Santa display. Santa sat frozen on the throne. Ray exhaled. Creepy thing. He blinked. Santa was now facing him. Ray stepped back, heart hammering. He blinked again. Santa's head was leaning forward, inches from Ray's face. Ray gasped and reached for his radio. A large hand grabbed him before he touched the button. The flashlight clattered to the floor. The lights flickered. When they steadied, Santa sat peacefully again. Ray was gone. A dark smear pooled on the shiny tile. 2 floors up, Daniel and Faye rode the elevator to the roof exit. They joked about holiday hours, long shifts, kids screaming for toys. The doors began to close when Faye turned to say something to Daniel. He wasn't beside her anymore. "Daniel?" The elevator doors opened on the next floor. Only a bloody clipboard lay on the ground. Jake kept watch on the cameras. He saw a blur pass behind Santa. Then static. He hit the console with his palm. "Come on! Come on!" The picture returned. Santa was standing, not on the throne, in the middle of the court. Jake froze. "What the—" The screen glitched again. Now Santa was gone. Jake's radio crackled violently. A scream. A crash. Then, "He's here! He's—" Static swallowed the rest. Marta yanked Jake from the chair. "Move!" They sprinted down the corridor. The screaming continued, sharp, animal-like. They rounded a corner. Officer Lyle lay sprawled on the floor, trembling, still alive, but unable to move. Santa stood over him, towering. But this time Santa was not silent. His joints cracked as he bent at the waist. His arms lowered like someone lowering a puppet. Marta and Jake watched in horror as Santa leaned down and began to work. There was no magic, no soft transformation, no gentle shrinking. It was carving. Bones cracked, flesh folded, limbs bent backward, size reduced by force, not nature. Lyle was reshaped, cut down from a grown man into something smaller. Wrong. Twitching. A new elf stood beside Santa, trembling violently, jaw hanging open in a carved grin. Its eyes were clouded, its nails sharp, its proportions unnatural. Jake vomited in the corner. The elf scuttled away into a dark hallway like a starving rat. Santa stood still again. Panic spread among the remaining guards. They teamed up, groups of 2 and 3, trying to keep eyes on everything at once. They failed. Officer Marcus rode an escalator upward, breathing hard. Halfway up, the lights flickered. Santa appeared 5 steps below him. Marcus screamed. Blink. Santa appeared 3 steps below. Blink. Santa's hand closed around Marcus's ankle. The escalator groaned to a halt as Marcus disappeared into the darkness below. Officer Dina sprinted into the food court kitchen, slipping inside a walk-in freezer and slamming the door shut behind her. She leaned against the metal wall, gasping. Her breath fogged. She felt vibrations behind her. Slowly, she turned. Santa's face peered at her from the metal reflection, smiling, waiting. But he wasn't in the room, only in the mirror. The lights went out. Marta dragged Jake back to the security office. They locked the door behind them, barricading it with desks. Jake watched the cameras again, hands shaking violently. Every feed showed static, except one, the Santa display. Santa stood in the center of the mall. The elves, now 3, scuttled around him like insects. Marta whispered, "Why are there 3?" Jake didn't answer. His breath hitched. Santa waved, a soft, casual wave. Then, he vanished. The office door handle turned. Marta pressed her back to the door, whispering, "No. No." Jake backed up. The handle clicked, turned, stopped. Then, with a sound like splintering wood, the door flew open. Santa stepped inside. The lights flickered violently. Then silence. 4 guards remained. They gathered near the massive mall Christmas tree, forming a tight circle. "No blinking," one said. "Don't turn away," another said. "Keep eyes on all angles." "Where is he?" "He's behind. No, left." "Don't panic. Stay together." Someone blinked. Someone screamed. The elves swarmed, moving in awful jerky snaps, limbs bending in impossible angles. The guards fell one by one, bodies collapsing under silent, brutal attacks. Only Ren survived long enough to run. Ren dove into a clothing store and slammed the security gate shut. She backed up, eyes locked on the metal bars. Santa appeared on the other side, face unreadable. "You're stuck out there," Ren whispered. "You can't get in." She blinked. Hands touched her shoulders from behind. 4 more guards died scattered across the mall. One beneath the Christmas tree, one in a gift-wrapping station, one near the loading dock, one beside the dark elevator shaft. There was no pattern, no hesitation, just a methodical purge. Jake, the final survivor, crawled through the hallways bleeding, delirious, terrified. He reached the Santa area and collapsed against the velvet backdrop. The mall was silent. Santa sat on the throne again. Elf helpers stood around him. More of them now. Too many. Each one twitching gently in the glow of Christmas lights. Jake whispered, "Please. Please. Don't." The lights dimmed. Santa leaned forward. Jake's scream echoed through the empty mall. At 7 a.m., the morning shift arrived. Shoppers filed in. Workers unlocked their stores. Music played cheerfully from the ceiling speakers. The Santa display looked perfect. Santa sat motionless on the throne, friendly smile carved into place. But now there was a new elf beside him. A small, disturbingly lifelike mannequin with Jake's exact facial features. carved too wide into a frozen grin. A tiny name tag hung from its vest, seasonal helper, Jake. A janitor pushing a mop shrugged. Huh, didn't know they added another one.